welcome into Kicking It. There's an appropriate G at the end of Kicking It. It's 2024, completely new leaf. Grant, we are professionals now. There are too many Cyclones almost in the Super Bowl for us to be just kicking it with an apostrophe. Kicking it.
You're right, dude. We got to be more professional here.
There's too many people that are counting on us. Kicking It is brought to you by Kelderman Manufacturing. I got a question about, I wonder if Kelderman does laser cutting and stuff, and I think Williams is going to get a grill kind of cut to him. Do you think he could cut
Yes. Yep.
I mean, the answer is yes, but a grill that has a middle finger on it that would fit a Toyota Tundra?
So
Absolutely.
I heard Williams talking about that, a grill, and like first comes to mind, I thought like a cooking grill.
Oh, I thought you were talking about like a grill, like a Paul Wall grill in your teeth. That's
I'm gangster. I'm like that gangster.
I don't think Kelderman's probably doing a grill for your teeth. But the reason why I ask about the
we can inquire
the middle finger on the Toyota Tundra. So Brock has been sponsored by Toyota. He's done a couple of commercials for Toyota. I bet he's got a Tundra. He definitely needs just a middle finger grill because the amount of shit that he has gotten for no real reason for a long time, which I feel like in one drive, he's way too nice to do it, but all of us can, of flipping the bird to everybody that just has the Brock Purdy hate train. So that I bet Kelderman could do that.
I don't think he would do the middle finger, though, just because Brock doesn't swear he's perfect.
Yeah, he's too nice.
Thumbs down, though? Fair game.
Oh, he would do a thumbs down or if you could just get what about Matt Campbell disapproving head nod? Just like a bottom, like a lips pursed,
but see,
like sort of just
me
head
and my
like
friends in high school started doing thumbs down in traffic. If someone cuts you off, just thumbs down.
I like that.
It's
And
not
that
a middle
hurts
finger.
a little bit more than a middle finger.
It's just I'm not mad. I'm disappointed.
Yeah, exactly.
I am so
and you can
disappointed.
do that every time.
There's
And you won't
even-
offend anyone.
Even if there's a kid in the car.
Yeah.
You can't flip the bird with a kid in the car. I mean, you could. It's just you then look like a jerk if you're flipping the bird at a child. But yeah, I don't know.
and then you get your kids start doing it, and like what a
power
absolute-
move.
Yeah.
Just take someone cuts you off, or you just
You roll down the back window, and your kid's just giving someone
just
thumbs
a
down.
hard thumbs down, thumbs all the way down.
Did I just get thumbs down by that kid?
Oh my god, that was a 7-year-old just thumbs down me in traffic.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. You know what, man? I didn't mean to. I was just. I'm late for this meeting. I was driving a little bit fast. I know I was a little bit too close to your bumper. I am sorry. We're in traffic. You don't have to apologize. Just move on. We are in the Wild Rose Casino studios, as per the usual. Cyclone Fanatic Podcast Network is fueled by Cody Road. But yeah, I think I wanted to start with the NFL playoffs just because there are so many Cyclones that are playing, including for those that have either the clip that is on social media or that are watching this on YouTube, you get yourself a fancy jersey.
Dave Montgomery, baby. I know he's not still with the Bears, but this is one of two jerseys I have. The other jersey I have is like a sweater jersey of LaDainian Tomlinson.
A+.
Yep.
A+.
I should wear it sometime. It's pretty sweet.
Is it Chargers LT?
Yeah. Baby powder blue.
Ooh, that's nice.
Yellow.
A little bolt on the sleeve, on the shoulder.
Yes.
A powder blue LT jersey is about the best as it gets.
That's about as good as
I'll
it
try
gets.
to wear it next time.
The powder blue Chargers jerseys are about as good as they get.
Yeah. I'll try to wear that next time. But yeah, my brother got this for me for Christmas. I think his rookie year. And I usually wear it once or twice a year for my fantasy football draft, and then just a random time. I'm sure, like, when they're playing. And Bears never really went to the playoffs, and now they're in the playoffs. And go
But
David.
they're not in the play. David's in the playoffs.
David's in the playoffs.
Yeah, they still aren't in the playoffs.
You're right. David is in the playoffs.
David is in the playoffs.
They as in the team he's on.
Yeah, this weekend I feel like as Iowa State fans, this really has been sort of the first time that there have been enough Cyclones in the NFL. They show that graphic on TV or on the big scoreboard when you're at the games or whatever. There's been enough Cyclones in the NFL where the NFL, even if you have a team, it's really easy to root for other teams because of how many guys are on there. Like the Packers 49ers was Anthony Johnson versus Brock Purdy, obviously. The Ravens versus the Texans was Xavier Hutchinson and Charlie Kolar. We have both those guys in there. The Bills game had AJ, who's been in the league for now, 14 years, 13 years? 15 years. There's no representatives in the Chiefs, so we're going to pause that for a second. And
Jeff
then
Scripes.
Jeff Scripes.
Jeff hates the Chiefs.
And then the Buccaneers, there wasn't anybody in Buccaneers, but then Dave Montgomery's playing for the Lions, so Lions advance. And so now there were Cyclones on 6 different teams that were in the playoffs, One of the teams that didn't have a Cyclone got eliminated, and one of them that did got eliminated. So now you've got 4 left. 3 of them have a Cyclone contributing significant snaps to, some of which are like cornerstone guys. Like obviously Brock and Montgomery are cornerstone guys for their teams. So I don't know. It's just really cool. As again, generally football agnostic, I don't have a team. But going into this postseason, you can't not root for the Lions.
And it'd be a cool story, no matter who. Take the Chiefs out of it. I don't want them to win. So any of the 3 teams that would be left that would win, it'd be a cool story because the Lions haven't been to the the playoffs, Super Bowl ever. They ever won a Super Bowl?
Never. They've won NFL championships, but that was 1957. I think was the last one.
So like that'd be cool. One for Montgomery to be a part of that team if they were to win. It'd be cool if Brock wins it
because that's the story.
Yeah, and the reason why Brock gets so much hate is he's getting like the LeBron James treatment where ESPN SportsCenter talk about LeBron James so much that people are like, okay, I'm sick of it. I'm sick of talking about him. That's why people hate him. Part of the reason why people hate him.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of the reason why people hate Brock Purdy because how do you hate on the guy who's Mr. Irrelevant, making $900,000 a year and just he had no expectations. He's coming in just killing it. How do you hate on a guy like that?
Yeah, and I feel like it's one of those overexposure things that people get irritated with. I also think that I think a lot of people. So if we were to take this back 20 years ago, 20, 30, let's call it 30 years ago. I don't know, mid 90s. You have some guys that are doing these crazy things. Your Randall Cunninghams, your Brett Favres, but the guy like John Elway, like if you look at the statistics that John Elway had in the playoffs or in the games that he won, he's attempting or Troy Aikman's a better example. Like Troy Aikman attempted 18 passes a game. And the reason why they were really successful in the 90s is because the way that the teams were constituted is that they were just be a good decision maker. Like you just get the ball to everybody else. That's what Brock does. And I think the reason why now is because you have guys that are truly generational talents that if you were to just take and pick up Brock out of San Francisco and pick all the other teams up and just shuffle who gets to be a quarterback, Brock's success level at this new team is likely not to be as high as it is in San Francisco versus somebody like Lamar Jackson. You could put Lamar Jackson on any team in the NFL. You could put him on the Patriots right now, and they're awful, and they could still win. He could be a Panthers quarterback, and they go to the playoffs. He is that good. But I think people get mad because they play this hypothetical switch the teams, and everybody, he wouldn't do as well if he wasn't on the 49ers. Okay, I was thinking about this weekend because you interact with enough people that are saying he's a mid-level quarterback. All right, fine, cool. I'm not going to dispute that because if you were to take him and put him on any other team, he's probably a mid-level quarterback. Probably wins a lot, but is probably statistically less significant than he is right now. But where he is in his current constitution of the roster, you have Debo, maybe he's going to play, maybe he's not. You have Christian McCaffrey, arguably the best offensive player, not named Lamar Jackson in the NFL. You got George Kittle. You have all these guys that are really good weapons.
Trent
Williams, best offensive lineman, potentially one of the best, definitely an all-pro. In 2001, the Lakers had 2 guys by the name of Kobe Bryant and Shaquille O'Neal. If you had Allen Iverson as the point guard for that team is worse than if they have Derek Fisher because Kobe and Shaq need the shots. They don't need Allen Iverson to take 35 shots a game because that's taking away from the actual efficiency of the offense. Brock Purdy is Derek Fisher. You know how many championship rings Derek Fisher has? 5. You want Derek Fisher on your team? You want Allen Iverson on your team? Now, again, that's a hot take of saying, would you want Allen Iverson? Of course you do. He's a great player. But for certain systems, the way that they run, if you were to take someone like Mahomes and put him on the 49ers, pretty damn good. Right? I'm not going to say he's not because that's what they had when they had Tyreek and Travis Kelce and they won a Super Bowl. Brock also might win a Super Bowl. And if you were to then say that, okay, now let's take Josh Allen and put Josh Allen in the 49ers. The 49ers offense, again, hot take, probably worse with Josh Allen on the 49ers roster because of the way that he plays. In the same way, the Bills offense is substantially worse if Brock plays there. Because Allen plays so freewheeling, the efficiency that the offense is built upon wouldn't work because he doesn't play in rhythm. He doesn't play in system. He plays and scrambles all over the place. So guys like Mahomes and Jackson are really the 2 guys that you can say would exist as championship level quarterbacks anywhere. Josh Allen, again, leads the NFL in interceptions over the last 3 years. And that is good and bad. And so then would you rather have a Josh Allen or rather have a Brock Purdy? In the Shanahan system, it's better to have a Derek Fisher than it is to have an Allen Iverson. So yeah, is he a mid-level quarterback? I don't know. Who cares? He's 23-6. If you include the games that he's finished, he's 23-5 and never lost a playoff game. Okay, give me that mid-level quarterback then. It just doesn't, the hate doesn't make sense to me because every argument that you put out gets refuted except for the one that he can't throw it 90 yards.
And that's what I don't get too, is that people are, they're enamored by Lamar because he's a freak athlete. I mean,
Lamar, to be fair, I think Lamar is the best player at any position in the NFL right now.
I mean, yeah, and rightfully so. Lamar is a freak. People, love Mahomes because he can chuck it 100 yards. People, love Hurts because he's a stud. Well, Hurts is getting the tush push, every time he's scoring. And you got Josh Allen, like you said, who's got a big arm but throws a lot of interceptions. And the knock people have on Purdy is that he is a system quarterback. And like whenever they say it, I go, I get that, but at the same time, you have to have someone who plays in that system well, and he is executing at a high level. So he's a bad quarterback because he's getting his weapons the ball like a quarterback is supposed to.
Yeah, and it is one of those things that like somewhat the Cam Newton hate that happened a while back of like, oh, he's not a playmaker or whatever. He's a game manager, whatever. Would you rather have, again, taking the guys that are generational talents? Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson are generational talents. It's sort of like saying like, you're not as good as Tom Brady, so you're not a good quarterback.
Yeah.
Okay. Like that's a bit unfair of an assessment. So if you were to take those guys off the table, a guy like Brock, when you're playing quarterback, the way that football works as a quarterback is there is a read and a progression. Now I'd like to break down those terms because what that means is before the snap is happening, you as the quarterback have a play called. And generally NFL, they have 2 of them called and sometimes 3. Like Peyton Manning would have 3 plays at the line of scrimmage he gets to choose from. I would imagine it's just 2 for Brock. But they get play at the line of scrimmage. They come out in a specific formation, and then the defense lines up in a way that they are either trying to disguise what they're doing or they're trying to, or they're not, and you're trying to match the best play of those 2. And even inside of those 2, you could, let's say it's a pass to the right or a run to the left, you can still check to a run and then flip it. So like it's not just one or the other. So like you can make whatever thing you need to make. So the read is based on this defense, where should this ball go? And then a progression is just a power ranking of where the best possible completion is based on route timing and the defense. And so usually your first read is going to be the one that, so let's say it's a 3-step drop. Quarterback takes 1, 2, 3 steps back. When he hits his back foot, who should be open at the time when he hits his back foot? That's your first read. It's not the biggest one down the field or the farthest throw or the whatever. It's based on the timing of this route, who's there when. And especially with the 49ers that work as efficiently as they do, your first read is there. Usually your second read then is going to be on a hitch, which is just if you ever see them like bounce, like everyone thinks like, oh, they got the ball in their hands, they're kind of popping up and down, they turn whatever. So that's called a hitch. And basically it's first read, hit your back foot. Is it there? Based on certain circumstances, yes or no. Then your second read or your second going down the progression, second in your progression, usually on one hitch, usually on your third hit or second hitch, you go to your third read. On your fourth hitch, if there is a fourth option on that play, you get to that fourth one. Maybe there's a time when your pass rush gets it so you can't get there. But the whole point of offense is, especially a quarterback, is here's your first option, here's your second option, here's your third option, here's your fourth option once the play is called. Would it not make sense for an offense to be clicking to have it not look that impressive? Because if you're being able to go read through the defense in the right way and deliver an accurate ball, it doesn't look like anything's happening. You're not throwing into tight windows because you're reading it right. You're getting the ball out to who you need to get it out to on the time that you're needing to get it out to. So bring it back to the basketball example. When people say like Brock's not a great player, he's a mid-level quarterback. All right, cool. Would you rather have a point guard that is 6 for 26 from the field, but shoots a lot of free throws, has 10 assists, pretty good, 6 turnovers in a game, and maybe 2 or 3 rebounds? Or would you rather have a guy that is 1 for 4, 12 assists, no turnovers, 9 rebounds? That guy's probably going to be your offense will probably work better with that second guy.
Well, that's why like Rajon Rondo, people love Rajon Rondo because he does everything. He doesn't need to score. He's he's a facilitator. He doesn't turn the ball over. He rebounds. He's crafty with it, but he'll shoot when he needs to. But he's not looking. He's looking to get his teammates the ball, which is what a point guard's supposed to do. And I just heard, kind of side tangent, but I just heard JJ Redick talk about it today. How Chris Paul is the last of a dying breed. He's the last of like the short facilitate pass first type of point guards. And now you've got Paolo Banchero, however you say his name, from Orlando, who's bringing the ball up, and he's like 6'9". You got these tall dudes.
Or Tyrese.
Yeah, you got guys who aren't really like point guards per se. They're positioned as basketball. I'm not sure where I'm going with that, but continue.
But just the point of having a point guard, the really good, it feels like the really good basketball offenses and the really good football offenses have the thing in common where it doesn't really look that hard when they do it really well. Where they're like, and the Chiefs on Sunday when they played the Bills, it was that. Like they averaged 7.7 a play. Nuts in an NFL game. They averaged 7.7 a play. And it didn't look hard because Mahomes is that good to just be on schedule, get the ball where it needs to go. And there's a guy wide open. Cool. There should be a guy wide open. If you scheme it right, there you go. We have caused confusion. We've taken advantage of that confusion. But when people say that like, Brock is just a mid-level. All right, man. You keep hanging on to the fact that you want Justin Herbert. Where's Justin Herbert right now?
He's chilling on the couch.
How many playoff games he won?
Not as many as Brock, I'm guessing.
I think the grand total is 0.
Eesh.
0 playoff games won. Great player. Better arm. Objectively better arm.
And he's got awesome weapons around him.
Keenan Allen, Mike Williams. I mean,
Austin Eckler. Where's his hate? Just saying. Like, and again, this is Cyclone fanatic. But and Mahomes, when Mahomes had Tyreek Hill, Tyreek Hill's the fastest guy in the league, bar none. You got him. You got maybe the best tight end in the history of the game. And yeah, he looks phenomenal. No one's saying, oh, Mahomes is a system quarterback. He's just chucking it deep and letting Tyreek run under it. No, and now that Tyreek's gone, you've seen Mahomes struggle this year.
And now, I mean, they've got it back on track. And again, Mahomes and Lamar are not fair comparisons because they are.
But you see that he's more human now that he has to actually facilitate to freaky athletes.
Yeah, and it's just one of those things. Like, and again, this is like it's Cyclone fanatic. Like you're on our side. Everybody listening to this thinks that Brock is a really good quarterback.
Yeah.
But this is more ammunition to share with your friends that say he's a mid-level quarterback, which. Again, you can just use this line and say, would you rather have the point guard that shoots it 25 times and fouls out and turns the ball over a ton, or would you rather have a guy who shoots 1 time with 10 assists and 8 rebounds? That's the guy you want. He's the trigger puller. Just get everything around. Get the ball to your playmakers because I imagine Christian McCaffrey's better at carrying the ball than Brock Purdy is. Get it out of your hand to get it to Christian McCaffrey. See what happens.
That's right. And that's, kind of the objective of the quarterback is to
get the ball to your playmakers.
And then when it's not scrambled, Brock's good enough to scramble when he needs to, which he led his team on a drive.
Yeah.
That was impressive.
Exactly.
Kittle dropped the first down pass, and then Brock went through his progressions. No one was there, and he scrambled for how far it was, and I think almost got a first down. And then
McCaffrey scores. I mean, that's where I think the middle finger comes from, is because like he's not a good quarterback. He can't win or he can't throw it. Just came back against potentially the hottest team in the NFL. And won in wet conditions after having objectively a bad game. Like the first half was bad for Brock. Turns out came back later and won the game. The other here just ammunition for you and your presumably Iowa Hawkeye friends when they talk about how Brock Purdy is a trash quarterback.
Noodle arm.
Is Kurt Warner a system quarterback?
He's a Panther, so they don't care about it.
But it's the same argument. So Kurt Warner, he managed to start because of injury. Trent Green gets hurt. Kurt Warner comes in. He's got Isaac Bruce, Azahir Hakim, Marshall Faulk. I mean, all 3 of them are Hall of Famers. He wins a Super Bowl ring, takes him to another one. Is Kurt Warner a system quarterback?
Is Peyton Manning?
I mean, and then you go, oh no,
he went to Edgerrin James.
He went to Arizona, and he took Arizona to Super Bowl with Larry Fitzgerald. Potentially top 3 to 5 greatest wide receivers of all time. Is he a system quarterback? You can't have it both ways.
But
either Kurt Warner is a system quarterback and Brock Purdy is, or neither one is. You cannot have it both ways.
And this is the last thing I'll say about it, because I know I'm kind of getting gripish, but
Great scripts.
People are saying, "Oh, Brock Purdy's a system quarterback." Well, Garoppolo and Trey Lance had the weapons too, and
same system.
Yeah,
I mean, Jimmy took him to a Super Bowl. To be fair, it was just not near as good.
Yeah.
They were just
Didn't
substantially
they hand
worse.
the ball off a record amount of times with Jimmy Garoppolo or
Yeah.
something? Like in that NFC Championship, he threw like 5 passes.
Yeah,
Or something
it was
stupid like
I think
that.
legitimately like 7
It was-
pass attempts.
Yeah, 'cause
that is being carried when you're literally not.
Raheem
you're
Mostert
just-
had like 300 yards rushing or something like that. Give me
Yeah, Aiden's gonna efforting that one. The other team that I was just kind of interested in before we get to like Bills Chiefs is, I said it before, is there anyone in America that's not rooting for the Lions?
Oh man, cool story. And you see that Montgomery was pumping his gas at the gas station the other day, and some lady came up crying and was like, "Thank you so much. Like it means a lot."
That's such a cool story. This is a side tangent. So like I have a professional goal of being on like a regional or national broadcast for college football. And so because of that, you kind of get into the weeds of like production quality. And I've done enough games and stuff to like pay attention to it. NBC Sports for the NFL is, for my money, the best at just making a broadcast of quality. Just the producers are the best. I think Fred Gaudelli is the one that is the head producer at Sunday Night Football, which is the one that like Mike Tirico and Chris Collinsworth. Fred Gaudelli is really, really good. He was on Sunday Night Football when it was like Madden and Summerall, or Monday Night Football when it was Madden and Summerall, and then he went over to NBC. Anyway, the intro that they had for the Lions game this weekend for the Buccaneers, did you get to see that like right away?
No.
It was so masterfully done. And just the way that they broadcast is like, if you had the game DVR'd, just go back and watch this. Like, it's just sit down. I mean, tune out as much else as you can. So they started with talking about, there was an 87-year-old fan that they highlighted in the stands who's had season tickets since 1957 or something like that. He has seen, or 1964 or whatever, he's seen one playoff win. And it was in 1991. He saw one playoff win in his entire life, and he's been a season ticket holder since the 60s. They showed him on the game last time. So they started this little package with talking to this guy about what the Lions mean to him. And the end of the game, in the win against the Rams, which was as perfectly scripted as you could have it, they cut to the fan reactions like towards the end of the game, and there's this guy that's got his fist up in the air, and he's like maybe about our age. He's like crying, and he's got his fist up there, and he kind of looks like a bro, and you kind of dismiss that as like, just some drunk guy who's really happy. Well, they talk about this guy's story, and then what I really appreciate is that they're making Detroit the story. Like the city of Detroit is the story, and this team is just a representation of that. So they were talking about, they go to this 87-year-old fan who's seen one playoff win until that last week. And they cut to this guy and they said, and I don't remember his name, I'm just going to call him, John Smith. And this matters just as much to John Smith. And they show the video of him like losing, crying, whatever, who a couple years ago buried his dad in a Lions jacket who never got to see a win.
Wow.
And they cut to that. And then they interview him about what the Lions mean to him. And then they cut to a bunch of people that say like, this city bleeds with the blue of the Lions. And they just cut into that. And then right after that package gets done, they cut to the crowd and everybody's waving white towels. It's 130 decibels in there. And Mike Tirico just goes, after they do like the initial I forget the name of the sideline reporters. They do a little sideline reporters. It comes back up to Tirico, and Tirico goes, and opening kickoff, Tampa Bay is going to kick off to the Detroit Lions, and we're just going to shut up and get out of the way because this is too good not to, or whatever. And they just stopped, and they just panned around and showed the crowd. Like the handling of that moment was perfect. And like it just continues to like elevate how much you're just rooting for the Lions because of how much you see it matters to the people of Detroit. So like I'm very torn. I think I'm probably rooting for the Lions because I'm a big underdog guy and the 49ers have had their time in the sun. But like Brock versus the Lions, this is a no lose if you're in the camp that we are.
For me, whoever wins that game, I want to see them win the Super Bowl because it'd be cool to see the Ravens and Charlie get one.
And Lamar kind of get that monkey off his back.
Yeah. I don't want the Chiefs to win, obviously. So hope they lose this weekend. But I want whoever wins in the 49ers Lions game, that's who I want to win the Super Bowl. Because it'd be cool because obviously for Brock and the 49ers to win again, but then the city of Detroit, how can you root against that? Because
it's so good.
Coach Dan Campbell is, he's big on too, like the people in this city are just blue collar, just hard working. And like the team has adopted that. And like, that's how they kind of go about their business is just hard working, nose to the grindstone.
And David Montgomery is perfect.
Yes.
For that. Absolutely perfect.
Yes.
It feels like there's no better. I mean, you look at like, and then Jack Campbell, he's an Iowa guy, like an Iowa Hawkeye, but like those two personalities, like on offense and on defense, you couldn't find like a better representation of like blue collar. I don't give a shit. If we get in a fight and you knock out a couple of my teeth, you better knock all of them out because I'm going to come back. Like that's just the way that they go about doing it. It's just so much fun to watch Detroit.
Yeah, they're a fun team, and they've got a lot of weapons. They helped both of my fantasy football teams win championships. I had quite a few guys on the teams. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Humble brag.
Congratulations. What?
I have receipts.
Okay. What the fantasy football thing, or what the Jimmy Garoppolo?
This
Jimmy
was
Garoppolo.
the
Oh my
NFC
God.
championship that they won.
So
That's an Iowa
this is-
quarterback stat line right there.
this is it's not enough interceptions. So this is
Or
the what
incompletions.
2020
2020.
2020
Yep. So like 2019 season.
for the 2020
Yeah.
NFC Championship. The 49ers beat the Packers 37-20. And you'd think, man, that must have been a really high. There's a lot of passing output. Jimmy Garoppolo is 6 for 8 for 77 yards and took an 8-yard sack. So his net yardage that he contributed to the team would have been what, 69 total yards?
Nice.
Well, you also have to look at his rushing yards.
His rushing
He had
yards, he had
-1.
4 carries from -1, so 68 yards. Sorry, not
Not
nice
as
anymore.
nice.
So 68 yards that Jimmy Garoppolo contributed to the offense. Raheem Mostert had 29 carries for 220 yards and 4 touchdowns. Debo had 2 carries for 43 yards, and they beat the Packers 37-20.
Yeah, 42 of their 50 plays called were runs.
That's a
That's
system.
crazy. I didn't
That's
think
a-
of it like that, but yeah, that's insane.
That's a system quarterback. That's what, and to me, when you look at that, that's what people are saying Brock is. Now, if you were to pull up Brock's stat line from this game, I think he was 23 of 37 or 23 of 39 or something like that with 1 touchdown, no interceptions, and a win. Like same thing.
I mean, and people are gonna, people have said, I've seen all over social media. People have said, well, he four interceptions versus the Ravens. Oh, you mean he was actually human for once and played against a really good team? What about the other 30 games he's played in? And what about the other games he's had 4 touchdowns, no interceptions? You're not talking
and
about those.
This is another thing that is interesting. So, like from a football X's and O's standpoint, the teams that have gotten to this point are teams that can dictate the terms of the game. And when you're dictating the terms of the game, so this is Brock's stat line from Saturday as we get pulled up, and for those that are watching on YouTube, 23 for 39, 252 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 sack for 7 yards, and that's still not his best game. Like he played relatively poorly for Brock Purdy standards.
And of their 63 plays, 39 of them were passes. Like it's not like all but 8 of them were runs.
Yeah. So the 49ers. So what I was getting at is, as far as like teams that can dictate pace, the reason why that Ravens 49ers game got so out of whack early in the year is because the Ravens got the position in the game that they wanted to and could then dictate terms, versus if the 49ers, that first interception that Kyle Hamilton had in that game, the one where Brock made a bad read, where I don't know if they call it a hunter or a sniper, who's the backs who if there's an over route, if you're the quarterback and there's a route on the left, an over route is one that kind of runs from your left side to your right side and kind of climbs over. Well, the safety on the right, a lot of times that's the hunter, sniper, whatever you want to call it, who should be pulled out of there by another route, but sometimes because they know an over route is coming, that safety will just sit there and wait for the ball and then come underneath. That's what Kyle Hamilton, that's that first pick. The 49ers are driving down. If they get that touchdown and it's a tie game or even 7-3, they can run, they can play action, they can still let Trent Williams go downhill and block somebody, because they can then continue the momentum, and then Brock doesn't have to throw it throw it in situations where you're throwing it, because the offense isn't built to do that. It's a run blocking offensive line and basically have 2 running backs between McCaffrey and Debo that are going to play downhill, and the Ravens got them out of that game and then ran away with it. The Ravens, the Chiefs, the Lions, and the 49ers have been the best, and you'd argue that the Cowboys were prior to getting smoked by the Packers. The Cowboys, if those teams dictated the pace the best, if the 49ers were to meet up with the Ravens again and they get a lead, that game could go almost the exact inverse of that, because of how good the 49ers are by just putting pressure on you once you do have a lead. So I wouldn't say that it's like, man, Brock had 4 interceptions. They play the Ravens again, he's going to suck again. Depends on how the gameplay goes. If they play with the lead and they can turn Bosa loose, they can turn Chase Young loose, and they can let Fred Warner run around and spy Lamar and all those kinds of things. He has to throw a zillion times. Lamar might bring him back because he's Lamar Jackson. He's, again, generational freak. But I don't know. I would not necessarily count the fact that Baltimore would run away with whatever game they're going to play.
Well, the NFL is scripted. You know that, right? So
If-
you see
If
that.
the NFL was scripted, the Packers would have beat the 49ers,
No.
and then the Lions would have beaten the Packers at home
No.
in the NFC Championship, and the bugaboo team that they had to do, and then they go to the Super Bowl. That would have been the script.
No, this it's scripted because you look at the Super Bowl logo. The colors
Oh, the
are
purple and
Ravens.
orange.
No, the Ravens
purple
and the red for the Niners. So
Yeah.
it's gonna be the Ravens and it's been like that for the last two or three Super
And
Bowls.
there is no coincidences. Don't happen on this planet.
There it is.
They don't
Mostly
happen.
purple. They're saying Ravens are gonna win.
The coincidences don't happen on this planet. They
There we
don't.
go.
They don't. There's no. Everything has a purpose.
That's right.
Humans are really good at planning, and they're able to execute all these things. Keep it a secret from the rest of the world.
Scripted.
So I don't know. We could talk Chiefs Bills if we want to. Well, can I just shout out AJ though?
Yeah, dude, cool story.
Dude, that's another cool, just great story. So AJ was literally on getting ready for vacation to go to Key West with his kids. Like his wife and his kids were getting ready to go on vacation, and the Bills were so injured that they called him and said, "Hey, we don't even know of anybody that can know this defense in a day. Can you come back and be a backup on the team?"
Hey, is this AJ? You got the same number?
Yes. You still here, bud?
Yeah.
You've been running a little bit. So he gets picked up literally, like Saturday, Sunday, and he shows up. They practice, and then their starting Mike linebacker, gets hurt in like the first quarter. And then all of a sudden, AJ, who is, again, getting ready to go on vacation, hasn't played a football game in months, is thrust into the starting lineup against the Steelers in a playoff game, and then has to go be the starter against the Chiefs, who between Isaiah Pacheco, Patrick Mahomes, and Travis Kelce are the top 5 at each one of their positions in the league, and you got to be the Mike linebacker against that on 10 days, 15 days after you.
He was calling the plays in the huddle.
Yes,
too.
he was the Mike. It is
And then he led the team in tackles versus the Steelers.
wild. It is wild.
The dude was licking the Cheeto dust off his fingers when they called. Oh, yeah, I'll come suit up. Sure.
I mean, I was gonna go get some grouper tacos and a Corona, but I mean, I could come play.
Yeah. Because is that his first action of the season?
Yeah, I think he didn't play all year because he got traded to the Bears in some action and then retired after getting traded to the Bears and then moved. I don't know if he moved back to Buffalo. I don't know where he was living at the time, but like, he was, all right, AJ, we need you here, buddy.
If I was ever in the NFL, that'd be in my clause. Like if I ever got released, I'm not signing until someone's in the playoffs and then you sign me.
You just got to make sure you stay
Well,
in
did you
shape.
see Zach Ertz?
Zach Ertz
Just
got signed, yeah.
with the Lions, yeah.
Just
What
now.
kind of ring chasing is this?
What?
This is all time.
I mean, to be fair, they also need a tight end. Like they need a body, and they're like,
yeah, but him waiting until now to sign with the team is kind of hilarious. I would do the exact same
it's
thing,
solid.
just to be clear.
It's solid, and he's practice squad too. Like so, he could
Well, I think they're going to activate him.
just be
plan
as
is, allegedly.
I would.
Maybe on Laporta be that'd be kind of saucy.
Well, Zach Ertz hasn't played in like 13 weeks. Didn't he play in like week 3? Was the last action that he had with the Cardinals?
He's still a stud though, married to an Olympian. So.
Yeah, his wife's probably a better athlete.
Sign his
she-
wife.
Yeah,
Sign his wife. Need a kicker.
Oh, dude. Speaking of kickers, I feel bad for Tyler Bass. Yeah,
Oh boy. That was a snap hook, man. Was that wind or was that some stank on the ball?
It was wind. It was wind. But
How do you aim that?
So if it's wind left to right, I would always
Aim at the left upright?
ish. So you always want to aim in between the uprights, obviously, unless it's like a crazy gust. But even then, I would put it just outside. Like UNLV, my freshman year, it was so bad in our face, which is different because it's in your face, that like from 30 yards I was short because it would go up and
It'd go backwards.
yeah. But for me, when I was kicking, most righties, when they get a hold of it, it kind of loops right to left. But mine would do exactly what his kick did, would loop left
And
to
I'd imagine
right.
that's like a golf swing too. Like I tend to naturally play with like a small slice, not slice, it's a slight fade, like slice when it's bad, but it's a slight fade. So like anytime the wind is left to right, I'm a right-handed golfer. Anytime the wind is left to right, it's a lot harder for me because it's pushing the ball a lot more into that wind, and I can't change a shot shape. I'm not that good. So you really it screws with your aiming versus if there's a right to left wind of equivalent intensity, that's easy because then it just holds, instead of it fading left to right, it just kind of goes straight because the fade happens into the thing. So I would imagine kickers have the same thing.
Yeah, Sometimes, I mean, with some guys you do, and I don't know what caused my balls to do that sometimes.
Balls.
But with his kick, it looked like he was aimed right down the middle. He was from 44, I think it was. So he was far enough out and the wind was strong enough. He should have been aiming that thing a few feet inside the left upright.
And let it pull back in.
Yeah, because if the wind dies right then, you're still putting it inside the left upright. But if he were to play the wind like he should have, he still would have made that.
Do you think pressure had something to do with that? Like that decision? Because you can imagine being a field goal kicker in Buffalo based on their history of field goal kicking in a moment against the biggest freaking hated rival of the Kansas City Chiefs who keep stealing your lunch money, and you finally get a chance to send it to overtime. Like that pressure is there. Did that have something to do with Bass pushing that one?
I think he's probably a little tight sphincter, but I also think that he is a seasoned enough pro that I don't really think he should have that pressure. But it's also, with the history of the Bills and, just being a kicker and with the game on the line, I'm sure, he could have felt some pressure. You know what I saw today, though, is that the Bills are the reason that the Chiefs have Patrick Mahomes. In 2017, the Bills traded the Chiefs, the Bills traded the Chiefs their first round pick, so it was the 10th overall pick, and then the Bills got whatever it was, the 91st pick, a third round pick, and then the first pick for the next year for 2018. And with that pick, the Chiefs took Patrick Mahomes.
Man.
And he has just been their kryptonite.
And I would also say this too, like if Patrick Mahomes didn't sit for a year and a half behind Alex Smith with Andy Reid in a situation that allows for his creativity to be functional, he wouldn't be the same player that he is either. So it's not all system quarter. It's not like baseball where like a good pitcher who can just throw gas, like Nolan Ryan is going to throw a ball past somebody because the mound is exactly the same. Like 60'6", baseballs or the plate's the same width, box is the same spot. Everything's the same. Place to place to place, doesn't matter. And it's all mano-y-mano. I'm going to chuck this by you. Quarterback is such an integrated position that every quarterback, every single one, Tom Brady included, every single one is better when the system fits them and the personnel fits their game. Every single one of them. Now, there are some to that degree, some whose that degree is bigger and smaller than others. Like, again, a guy like Lamar. They've had a few different offensive systems since he's been in there, and they've all been good. But this one's been better because they finally got receivers around him. They got Zay Flowers, they got Odell Beckham, and they got Rashad Bateman. Mark Andrews might come back, but you got Isaiah Likely, like talent that you can actually throw to. And then Todd Monken, who is the coordinator for the Georgia Bulldog national with Stetson Bennett in the national title games. You have him actually calling a game that is and running a system that is conducive to what Lamar does really well and not forcing him into things that he doesn't do well or forcing him to be in harm's way more than he is. So a guy like Lamar, he is perhaps the biggest plug and play. You pick him up, put him on any other team, that team's in the playoffs. Doesn't matter. But the degree to which his good is great is better when he matches the system. So like to a degree, every quarterback is a system quarterback.
Yeah, and I don't know. I've been so impressed with Brock's, just his decision making for the most part, and just his accuracy. He's made some crazy throws where it's a guy jumping and it's 4 inches above his fingers or just a tight window. And with Mahomes, not saying he's not a good quarterback. Obviously, he's a generational guy, but I would say that Tyreek bailed him out at some point. You see it with Tua. He's got Tyreek and Jalen Waddle, two of the faster guys in the league, and you just chuck it and go.
Just go get him.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm not sure just how accurate Mahomes is. What's more impressive, his accuracy or his just
playmaking
abilities?
I think just
playmaking.
I think is the thing that sticks out the most with Mahomes is that like when you need something to happen, more times than not he's going to make it happen, and that's the thing. Like no matter how he gets it done, that's the thing that's impressive. I think to wrap up the NFL, by the time we get recorded again, we're going to know who's going to be in the Super Bowl. Rooting interest, I think Detroit, like I'm going to root for Detroit, but I'll be happy if San Francisco wins in the NFC.
I'm not going to make any predictions because I don't want to jinx it.
Either team.
What I want to happen.
And then a full throat rooting for the Ravens. We've talked about my dislike for it's really just the Chiefs defense. Like the Chiefs defense, personality wise, there's a bunch of dickheads on that team. The Packers also have a bunch of dickheads on the team on the defensive side. But it just doesn't seem, I mean, Anthony Johnson, not a dickhead. Anthony, not a dickhead. But anyway, like just have guys that are just hard to root for when you don't really have a rooting interest. And they've been there for forever. Like they've had enough drinks at the water fountain. Get out of line. Let somebody else have a drink at the water fountain. That's because the 49ers haven't won one in a while, but they've been to a few. So if it's Ravens, Lions, that is two teams that haven't been there in a while.
Ravens won, probably last one KO was there.
That's true. Yeah, it was
2012.
2012, 13, whenever it was. So you have, and Lamar's never been there. The Lions haven't ever been there. Like that's like
Lamar didn't win the Super Bowl.
Lamar's never won a Super Bowl. He's only won one.
Flacco was a quarterback.
Joe Flacco.
I'll talk about
Flacco, dude.
Joe Flacco.
Joe Flacco, bro.
Baltimore Rose, dude.
Fucking sick.
Duck. But yeah, like I don't know. I'm rooting for Ravens versus either team in the NFL. Or
you know
NFC.
what? Shirtless Jason Kelsey though kind of made me like okay with the Chiefs. Like this, he was getting it. The dude's retired, just having fun.
And the Chiefs' offense is fun to watch. Like it is a good, consistent offense when Rashee Rice has kind of actually become like a competent wide receiver who's actually can play the position as opposed to just like catch and run. Travis Kelce is probably the best tight end to ever play, and AJ Pacheco just is a violent runner.
He runs like a kid is trying on shoes for the first time at a shoe store.
He runs like someone owes him money or something.
Like he's mad at the ground.
Yeah, yes. That's what Mahomes said. He's like, he runs like he's angry at the ground.
And just like the knee thrust, like the high knee, just like hot. The ground is lava.
Yeah,
like,
he's running on bare feet across asphalt at like the public pool.
And he's so just fundamental. Like when he like shuffles up, like when he's next to Mahomes and shuffles over to get the handoff. You know, he doesn't like take like one step. He just like chop. Like I don't know. It's
everything is.
It's hilarious.
It's well executed.
Yeah,
it's
funny stuff.
You good, Aiden?
Just slapped my water bottle. All good.
Hey,
there's vodka in this, Stanley.
Domestic abuse. I suppose we should talk about Iowa State, at least some on an Iowa State.
Just dive into some hoops, man. So they played. They played BYU and TCU.
Frickin' Chet, man.
Yeah, BYU. That's a tough team. That's a tough matchup, and they were on. What's upsetting is then they go and lose to whoever they just lost to.
Well, because they're on the road, and so like okay, the Chet thing. I want to let the listeners in to this. You can't tell me that I'm wrong. Look at anybody on BYU's roster. I don't care who you're looking at. They look like a guy who needs to be named Chet. Just no matter what. And his dad is a personal injury attorney who they make good money. Not
with 3 wives.
Not like super, super rich, but like rich enough that like can go to private school. Like that's what just every player at BYU looks like they should be named Chet. So every time somebody would make a 3 or whatever, you can't help freaking Chet. But this is Aiden, can you see if anybody's updated the Floyd standings? Because it feels like the Big 12 is going to be one with the Floyd standings. Are you familiar with the Floyd standings?
Ish.
So Floyd standings are
Tim Floyd standings. Yeah, I would say it's +1.
So it's you for those that are not super aware of what this is. I'd imagine I'm on the bottom end of explanation on this, but it doesn't matter if you win at home or lose on the road. That's a 0. But if you win on the road, that's a +1. Or if you lose at home, that's a -1.
Yeah.
And so then the plus minus in the Tim Floyd standings, I feel like that's what's going to determine who the winner is of the conference. Like you look at a team like Houston, really freaking good, really good, but they're 0-2 on the road, right? They lost at Iowa State, and then they lost at, what was it, TCU?
Yes.
And then they went home and kicked the ever-living shit out of Texas Tech. And
which is surprising because Tech is a good team, but again,
it's on the road. Yeah. And so like if Iowa State holds serve at Hilton, which this week is huge for that because you have Kansas State and Kansas coming in, Kansas State and Kansas towards the top of the conference.
And Kansas has been subject to lose. They've been pretty suspect on the road. They lost to UCF, who is booty cheeks. They might be right above Oklahoma State, but then they also lost to West Virginia, who West Virginia's tough place to play, but they're also on the booty cheek kind of section, kind of category.
Some booty cheek adjacent.
Yeah,
it's like upper thigh or upper hamstring. It's like not totally a booty cheeks. It's just like upper hamstring.
I think with West Virginia, they're kind of sliding closer to the gooch than just like hamstring.
It's just more underneath the which
there's still some stink. There's still some stink there.
This is completely
this.
I don't know if this is going to be isn't inappropriate to have a conversation because it's more of a medical term. When you're listening, do you guys know what a perineum is?
I thought you were going to go with schmegma.
Perineum. Are you familiar with the perineum, Aiden?
I'm not.
It is what some people call the taint or the gooch. It's the space betwixt the spaces. And
do you know what they call the taint?
No, don't say it. There's kids in the car.
Okay.
There's kids in the car. But
Google it, kids.
The funny thing about this, listen to in the commercials when there's ads for like a diabetes medication or something like that, there's always may cause irritation of the skin of the perineum. And they just lace that one in because people don't know what that is. You're going to hear it all the time. That's a side effect. You might get an irritated taint. Your gooch might hurt after taking this medication.
Yeah, so West Virginia is definitely the perineum then. So
it's not is that worse? Isn't that worse than booty cheeks? I would imagine it's just consistently smellier.
Well, you talk booty cheeks, you can shorten down to cheeks. You can get them cheeks clapping. Like there's different kinds of ways you can go with the booty cheeks, but like the perineum, you're not going to clap a perineum. That's what you could. But
the grundle.
The perineum might be worse. Yeah.
I feel like
grundle is different. Grundle's different than the perineum.
We're
getting into Fermunda cheese, and we're talking about.
Have you ever
grundle.
Just from the movie Waiting? Oh my God, you haven't seen Waiting? Aiden, have you seen Waiting? I still can't go to like an Applebee's. I can't. Applebee's or Chili's. I haven't been back since I've watched Waiting. It's such a great movie, but it's so disturbing. It is so disturbing because even if 1% of that stuff is true, it's disgusting.
I don't want to deal with that.
I don't want to deal with that at all.
I'll have to Google it. I'm not sure what
just the movie Waiting.
Right.
A plus movie.
Okay.
It's young Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, it's like one of his first.
It's Ryan Reynolds
before or after the Notebook.
That was Gosling.
Shit, you're right.
Don't test me on my Ryans.
Both very handsome fellas.
We started with Iowa State basketball. We ended up in Grundle and Ryan Reynolds.
Waiting was 2005. That probably wasn't one of his first movies then.
But Iowa State basketball, eh?
Yeah, no, I was talking about West Virginia, how the booty cheeks and Kansas lost to them, and how Kansas isn't
perineum.
Yes, they're perineum. How Kansas is the little suspect on the road. Kansas State, I think they're decent. I mean, the whole Big 12 is decent, but home court advantage is going to be huge in the conference. The TCU win was an absolute
huge
win. Without Taman too. It reminded me of last year
when they played 13 dudes against Baylor.
Yeah,
post Caleb Grill.
Yeah, so I don't know if that was the last game of the year or the first game of the Big 12 tournament because they played Baylor.
They played back to back.
That
was the last game of the regular season.
That's what I thought. So they'd beaten Baylor by 15 at Baylor, I think, and I think that was the first game where like Conrad Holly got in
regular.
Yeah, with
6 to play in the first half.
Yeah, I'm like, what? I mean, it just the team played really solid team ball, just selfless team ball. It was really good to see. Almost gave it up at the end though. Keyshawn's got to get a little tighter. He was kind of getting a little loose with the ball at the end.
I think so Keyshawn is if Taman's not able to play, Keyshawn becomes the de facto point guard, kind of. Well, back to the Brock Purdy conversation. He's much more of the Josh Allen quarterback version of a point guard than he is the Brock Purdy version of a point guard, where Taman is more the Brock Purdy version of a point guard, which is I'm going to make the right play and the offense should look easy when I'm doing it. If I'm in that groove, then it should look easy. And so Keyshawn, when he's good, you get Josh Allen good. When he's bad, you also get Josh Allen bad. And there's both sides of that where over dribbling a little bit, trying to do too much, has to be the guy to take the shot. And I think that he's gotten better at that kind of game to game to game to game, especially in the TCU game. It's just still there's some growing. That is some of the growing that's still going to continue to happen, that there's just going to be better understanding of what to do in pressure situations, where the ball should go, who needs to have it. And, hopefully Taman gets back. But even if he doesn't, then I think next time he faces that situation, he's not going to huck up a 17-foot jumper from the side.
Yeah. And sorry, I'll tell you after the show.
Inappropriate?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't need to go back to it. Why I keep laughing like he's fine. Jiggy had a great game, his best game of the year though. And when he came in, the coaches had said he was the best shooter of the maybe on their team, I think is what they had said. And he's kind of been in a slump, but I think it's a solid, especially a 3-point, when you rely on the 3-point shot, a solid 3-point shooter to me is kind of like a kicker who's in a funk. You got to get that first kick, that first field goal PAT that goes through the uprights, then you're back. You're good to go. And I think for like a 3-point shooter, the first time you see the ball go through the hoop from 3, you're back on. You're good to go. And I mean, you've talked about it a few times too on the show. I think that in the Big 12 games so far, Iowa State they average like three pointers a game.
They made more threes in the first half against TCU than they made in any previous Big 12 game. The most they'd made is 3.
And I'm not saying that, Iowa State needs to make 13 and chuck up 39 like BYU's doing, but you got to make more than 3, especially if you're going to attempt, 15 or so. If
and
they can
to
make
unclog the lane. And to unclog the lane, because that's where you want to operate.
Yep.
Taman getting downhill, Keyshawn getting downhill, Hassan and Rob and Trey King and Demarion Watson getting tip back and putbacks and stuff like that. That all has to happen. And if you're shooting poorly, then the whole offense can't work because there's no reason for someone to actually come out and stay glued to somebody, which you text before the show and some show planning, X factor for the team.
Ooh, you want to say it on the same time on the count of 3? I'm going back and forth between 2 guys, so I hope you say the guy that I don't.
Okay, 1, 2, 3.
Hassan
Kurt
Ward.
Jones. Kurt Jones.
Why Jiggy?
So without an offensive threat, if he is a consistent perimeter shooter, and because his defense has been good, like that's not been a problem. But if he's an offensive liability, like Taman from 3-point was last year, then you're removing the capacity of having somebody like Keyshawn on the floor, or you have to play Keyshawn and Taman and him, but he's sort of just a defensive guy, and then you're only playing with 4 offensively. But if he can be the shooter that he is capable of being, it completely opens up the entire rest of the game, because then Milan is going to be facing true one-on-ones because somebody's got to be glued to Kurt. And Taman is going to be facing probably the second best defender, because the best defender's got to be in the pocket of Kurt Jones to stay attached to him. So if he can shoot well and be at least a 35% 3-point shooter, then that becomes a huge weapon, because then Milan can do more stuff and spread out, and you can have Taman spread out, and Keyshawn has one-on-one opportunities. And guys like Hassan and Trey and Bob Jones.
You just said in a Canadian accent, Bob Jones?
Bob Jones. You can't hear.
Oh, Minnesota. He's from Minnesota.
I can't hear Bob Jones. Robert Jones. Can't hear Bob Jones and not say it like that. So Bob Jones. So you have those guys, and everything opens up more if you can start shooting consistently from the 3-point line. And Kurt Jones is the guy that can do that. And that to me is the X factor. If he's good, this team can be a lot better than what, even they are now. If he stays as inconsistent as he has been in the first bit, then every game is going to be a fist fight, no matter who you're playing.
I said Hassan Ward because he has been, since he's come back from injury this year, he's been so good. He disrupts around the basket, so he's going to give you blocks when you need him.
Putback
dunks, or just lobs. I mean, he is bringing the energy that I think a lot of people feed off of Rob Jones. That's what I think.
Bob Jones.
I think Pav has said that too. That
Jackson Pav.
Yeah,
from Wisconsin.
He feeds off of Mab and
Bab Jones.
And I think Hassan too. I mean, he brings the juice. He brings energy. He had 4 offensive rebounds versus BYU, which is huge. He's putting back dunks, just bringing the juice.
He also about killed a guy against BYU,
and that wasn't cool. But
it wouldn't be a basketball game in Provo between Iowa State and BYU if somebody didn't get hit in the throat.
Yeah, no, that wasn't cool. But I think Hassan, because we need to have, Iowa State needs to have one big that is, I'm not trying to throw shade at Bob here.
Athletic?
Yeah, we need to have one that's athletic that can, I still think Bob's just that bully who's going to, just Hunter Dickinson, stuffing his ass in the locker and taking his girlfriend and his lunch money and then
I think
saying what's up to his mom. But I think that Hassan is...
That's a new one. That's a new step. So you're getting shoving the locker and taking the lunch money, and then dating his girlfriend, and then also reaching out to his mom. Just Zach Wilsoning that one, to see
when he chops off Hunter Dickinson's ex-girlfriend and saying hey to mom. But I think Hassan is just, we gotta have him. He's a big that is a Big 12 big that you need to have. And again, no offense to Bob, he's a hardworking guy.
And the thing that Robert Jones does that really well is he is a really good teammate, And he's actually one of the dudes who can flex and be like, oh, there's muscles there. It's when really skinny guys flex after getting a dunk, it is a little funny because I'm like, all right, now do 10 push-ups with your chest touching the floor and locking it out at the top. I bet you can.
Now actually flex.
And anyway, so the thing that Bab Jones does really well is he'll set screens for guys getting to the basket better than anybody on the team. Yeah. Like his involvement in the offense when he's not the guy with the ball, and he's going to get 10 or 12 a game because he's just going to be around the rim because he's blocked somebody or he's boxed somebody out. Taman went to shoot a layup. It was contested, but because he's already got box out position, that ball comes off the rim. He's the only guy that's going to get a rebound. There's a put back. There you go. And like that's the stuff that Bab Jones does really well. But Hassan is different in that like put it anywhere within 4 feet of the rim in any direction, and there's a chance that Hassan can go get that. And it feels like that athleticism, that's something Iowa State hasn't had since Jameel McKay, but he's just more consistent than Jameel. And I think he's a little bit taller. I don't remember how tall McKay was. I think maybe 6'8", 6'9", but that type of athleticism hasn't been around since Jameel McKay.
I was gonna potentially say DeMarion Watson too, because Hassan does pick up some dumb fouls at times. And Watson, he played the 5th most minutes last game. He played 25 minutes, I think, and he had 6 rebounds, 4 of them offensive. That block he had at the end of the game was huge.
That was a swat.
He is just such like he's a stat stuffer, but he's not going to get you a triple double. But he's going to get you 5 or 6 of about everything. He was perfect from the free throw line, which is what you need. He had a block, he had a steal, he had 6 rebounds, 4 of them offensive. I mean, he's not going to be a guy, like I said, he's not going to lead your team in scoring, not going to lead your team in rebounding, but he's going to give you little things that you need at the right time. And to me, I'm not so sure if Watson is the X factor as he is maybe a glue guy.
Yeah. Well, and there's 4 bigs, and Omaha has started coming along to play pretty decent minutes when he's been in there, but you understand that like he still doesn't have the concept of basketball down enough to be in the Big 12 level yet. But the more
still looks a little fast for him.
Yeah, so the more he gets reps, the better he's going to be. But right now, there's really 4 guys that are bigs that you can play, and Trey and DeMarion are like the 4s, and then Bab Jones and Hassan are playing your 5s. But you can play any combination of those 4 guys in there. Usually, you're not going to have Trey and DeMarion in there unless you're really going really small ball. But any combination of those guys. But then if you have Hassan, Ward, DeMarion, Watson, and then pick any 3 guards, that's a super athletic lineup. And Bab is pretty good at playing out on like when he needs to. And Milan is kind of like a flex between those 2 guys. And a lot of times Milan and DeMarion's coming in for Momcilovic when he gets in foul trouble. But like, if you have that lineup on there with Hassan, Watson, and then 3 guards, there's no one they can't guard. So like when there's that positionless team, like the 2021 Texas Tech team that made it to like the Elite 8, when everybody's like 6'8" and just physical, they can defend that team because they have guys like that.
Yeah, this is a fun team. I mean, I really like the team, and they're really starting to find their identity, as far as who the go-to guys are, what's working, what isn't. And they're playing good ball at the right time. You want your team to be playing good ball, in February and March. And I think this team is really gelling well. I think, like you said, Omaha coming in, given some good minutes, and I think he needs more confidence, and he's getting, the more you play, toss him to the wolves, you're going to sink or swim. And I think he needs more minutes, and in the right time, though. I mean, we beat that dead horse enough, but yeah, I think this team's playing really good ball, and they complement each other well. I think Taman will be back too for Kansas State. I don't think he was injured. I think he was just hurt, just dinged up. There's a difference between being hurt and injured. But yeah, I'm really impressed with this team right now.
It's fun. It's fun to watch winners. Also, Twister sisters, man. Just that is. I mean, I hate to just like leave it to the end. They only played once last week.
But picked up 2 wins.
Cool. But just I love the dynamic of that roster, and like Addie Brown and Audie Crooks are, I don't know, what's the girl version of dudes? Like they're dudes. I don't know, whatever the colloquialism, they are studs.
Can you spell that for me?
Colloquialism?
Yes.
I got bad news.
What?
They only won 1 game last week.
Just the forfeit?
Yeah.
They only played once.
They played
But they played Saturday. They won Saturday. lost Tuesday, Wednesday, and then got the forfeit for Saturday. So within a 7-day span, but just within 1 week of today, they only won once. And it was
there were two numbers that got added to their.
Just one.
Whatever.
Saturday, Tuesday,
They're
Saturday.
also unranked now.
What?
Which is crazy. To
How?
Me.
The men jumped up one from 24 to 23.
How?
Well, it sucks they didn't get to play TCU.
And they just beat it.
If they pick up a win against TCU,
they stay ranked.
They stay probably right where they're at.
You know, honestly, at this point, who cares about rankings?
Good.
That's also a very good point.
And if you're ranked, awesome. If you're not, go win.
They're still top 3 of the Big 12.
Top 2.
Top 2. Yeah. So
Top
who
2.
cares?
K-State's the only other one.
Yep.
And or K-State is Baylor. I don't remember. No, Baylor's got 2 losses. Anyway, I hate to just like shoehorn at the end, but like it feels like the Iowa State women are appointment television because they are so much fun. When Audie Crooks gets in a rhythm that like she's consistent and knows where the defender is weak, whether it's right side, left side, or if it's establishing position early, or if it's trying to stay moving or whatever. When she gets position and is established in there, the whole offense, like you watch every defender, as soon as she gets the ball, just sucks down on to hoping that they can get the ball. And she's just going to leave the ball up and just hit a layup every time. And then Addie Brown is going to come and be like, she seems like the type of person or the type of, I don't remember who I said was this, or who this was last year, but like you look down at the stat sheet and you're like, she's got 12 and 10. What? Like just because she does so many dirty little things of like,
probably Emily Ryan.
Yeah. And it's just like, you don't realize how good statistically they are until you look down at the stat sheet and you're like, oh my God, she's 4 assists away from a triple double. Oh, okay. I guess. So I don't know. It is so much fun to watch this team, and they can just continue to get better and better and better. And then Emily Ryan.
And they're young. They're young.
And Emily Ryan being able to be out there and just be like this steadying, like, hey, relax. Like when something happens, you know, they have every time there's either a free throw or like a break in the action and that little huddle thing, everybody's looking at Emily, like every single time, no matter what. If she's on the floor, she's saying something, getting everybody together, and then everybody just goes to do stuff. It is such a cool dynamic. I don't know when do they play this week? Aiden, Efforting?
They play Wednesday at 6:30.
Wednesday.
Day of this release. Tonight, 6:30, if you're listening on Wednesday. And then Saturday Kansas is also away, obviously, since the men are at home.
Kansas, yeah.
And then Saturday, 1 o'clock at West Virginia. West Virginia also ranked 24th.
Yeah, that's
and you know what they say about West Virginia?
I don't think you should say it.
Grundle. Perineum.
Perineum.
I think the only thing we got to do is so Goldfinch Athletics. This comes out on Wednesday. If you're a DMPS student, it starts today. Rookies and our junior high program starts today, 3:45 for the young'uns. If you're an elementary school student, and then it starts at 4:30 for the junior high folks. So if you hadn't registered, you could just show up. We can have you register kind of day of once we get there. So if you want to come, still check it out. It's at Central Campus for DMPS students at any elementary school. 3:45 tonight. If you're listening to this on Wednesday, and if you missed it this first one and you're just listening to this on Thursday or whatever, still come next week. We're glad to have you. So anyway, I'm super pumped to get that going. We had 31 registrations for the junior high program and 17 for the elementary school program.
Nice.
So it's gonna be a party. It's gonna be fun. I don't know. Like I said, the whole goal of this, of anything with our Goldfinch Speed or Goldfinch Sports Performance, which is Goldfinch Sports Performance is in-house, Goldfinch Speed is remote. Anytime with those programs, our main goal is to just improve the relationship that kids have with exercise, so that it's not, I'm going to lift so I can play football better. And then when football's done, I don't want to lift anymore because it's just a means to an end. But if you can build exercise as a thing that is enjoyable to do and that's worth doing in the first place, and it gets you better at your sport, when the sport is done, you still want to exercise. So you build someone a lifetime of health and function and fitness just because you can improve their relationship to exercise. That's what we try and do. So it's going to be both effective, but it's also going to be fun and build a relationship that this is a good thing to do. So that's what we're trying to do the entire time. So Wednesday, 3:45.
And as you get
Central
older,
Campus.
it's important to keep moving and keep stretching, keep lifting, I'm trying to get kicked up. And so
you got a ways to go, buddy. You got a lot more protein to eat.
I've always kind of had a pancake ass. I'm trying to get a little bit of dunk going, but
A little more booty cheeks.
trying to get them booty cheeks clapping. So
This may cause irritation. The skin of the Perineum.
thank you to all of our loyal listeners who are still listening. Fun show today. And as always, remember, adopt, don't shop.